Wednesday is here, another fitting day for us to go beyond the headlines. My name is Benjamin Akufo. Thank you for staying with us on Prime Morning. Now, we delve into the hard issues right now with representation from both the MPP and the NDC. We're going to be talking about myriad matters of national concern. Let me just remind you that in the course of this program, you can get very interactive with us. 0551 575757 on WhatsApp. Please don't call that number. WhatsApp messages. Send a WhatsApp message. 0551 575757. If you'd like to call in the course of the show after we're midway through, you can call 0302 211 693 extension 4. We'll put that on the line when the phone lines are activated. But right now, let me quickly connect with the guests that we have joining us this morning. We have Courage Nobi, who is a member of the NPP's National Communications team. He joins the conversation. Mr. Nobi, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother. It's a pleasure to join you here.
It's always refreshing to have you. And we also have a member of the NDC. Is it Zongo or Zango? I've heard
it is Zango. The actual pronunciation is Zango. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So Alhaj Mohammed Naziru.
Naziru. Z-I, yes. Yeah,
okay.
Naziru.
So Alhaj Mohammed Naziru. I didn't want to fall foul of his. He made mention of the Alhaj specifically, so I didn't want to.
I think you followed me for a while.
Alhaj Mohammed Naziru. He is with the Zango caucus of the NDC. Gentlemen, thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you.
Let's hit this nail on the head. We have many abandoned projects in this country. I've just been taking a look at some documentation, and we lose billions, apparently, on the back of abandoning many projects. From Nkrumah to date, we have abandoned projects. And it's a sad reality. Recently, we had the Member of Parliament for South Dayi, Rockson-Nelson Dafeamekpor, taking on your administration, Nobi,
yes,
taking you to court for abandoning the former President Mahama's e-blocks, among others, saying that you are, in a way, causing financial loss to the state and the people of Ghana. I'll pose this question to you. Why are we in this vicious cycle? Like I said, from Nkrumah to date, we abandon projects. In this Fourth Republic, we've done it. There were a few things that Rawlings left that were not really continued. Kufuor, not continued, even housing projects. Then Mills, then Mahama, and now Akufo-Addo. What is it with us? Why?
Thank you very much, Ben, and good morning to your cherished listeners and to my brother of the Zango caucus of the NDC. You know, it's a big worry. Abandoned projects is a major worry, and present government and the President Akufo-Addo acknowledged that. So if you remember, right from 2017, when we took over the reins of government, the President did promise to tackle those abandoned projects. And true to his words, he went all the way to 40-year-old projects, such as the maternity block abandoned, that's of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. A champion started it, it's criminally abandoned. We went back to make sure that we bring it back to life. I think it's a 10-story building or so. Subsequent to that, a number of health projects were inherited from the Mr Mahama administration. We moved to complete about 16 of such projects. In education, and I'm glad you brought up the matter of e-blocks. You know, the NDC completed 29 blocks.
They dispute that. They say they completed more. Let's go. 29
blocks. As at election, December 2020, the NPP had equaled that number, had completed an additional 29. All right. Then there are housing projects that were abandoned, like you rightly said, from the Kufuor era and all of that, which the State Housing Agency has gone back to complete a number of them, and we continue to do so. However, when it comes to these abandoned projects, there are some of the projects that have issues. And to the extent that there are major issues with them, most of which border on serious corruption offenses, legally, you cannot even touch it up until the necessary legal remedies have been sought. You've gone through necessary processes, one of which is Saglemi project. You know, and the facts of that project, we all know. You know, how loan of 200 million was contracted for a certain number of, I think, 5,000 units. You know, minister unilaterally, after parliamentary approval, reviews that number to about 1,005. And then subsequently, about 1,300 plus projects were started, out of which just about 600 was completed, and about 80% of the money spent. Clearly, you cannot forget about all these facts and just go and touch it in the name of wanting to complete abandoned projects, because once you do that, you are literally tampering with evidence for prosecution. So there are those bottlenecks when it comes to some of these projects, you know, and to the extent that those bottlenecks are there, some of these projects may have to lie down for some period until prosecution or the legal processes take their turn, and then government can begin to look at it. But far from that, there are a lot of road projects that were inherited that are being completed, that this government has committed to, and a number of them. So as far as abandoned projects are concerned, the President Akufo-Addo government is not one that can be, for want of a better word, accused or held liable on that issue. He has shown and demonstrated leadership in that matter, and he has committed to it, committed resources to it, to make sure that a good number of them are tackled. It is only laughable when you hear someone like President Mahama on his thank you talk say that when he comes, he would commit his first 2 years to complete an abandoned project. The issue is that when did he get the wake up? When did he realize this? There have been projects that his own predecessor, President Mills, started, that he abandoned in the same party, literally same government, you know. But because today it's a matter of concern for the, average Ghanaian, let me just throw in some promises here and there, and then hopefully
that's what you think the
that is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is.
So he's simply being propagandist. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
All right. Let me quickly come to Naziru. A very quick one on this. Now, just to break it down, like I was mentioning the statistics, the IFS SDDF Africa says abandoned projects in 2021 are costing us a whopping $25 million. Multiply that by 6, so 25 by 4 would give you 100. So that's just about 150 million Ghana cedis in 2021, I think thus far. You look at the trajectory across the years, and we are told that we are averaging 25 million, 30 million in 2017, when you look at the figures. It means every year we are losing these gargantuan sums of money, and think of the impact they could have on our infrastructure, on our development, how we could invest such sums of money. But we are losing all of it because of abandoned projects. Your take, and how do you react to this MPP government when it comes to abandoned projects?
You see, having said a very big good morning to our cherished viewers, yourself and my colleague, I would move straight to, re-emphasize the need for continuation, because, it is, abundantly clear in our constitution, if you go to the directive principles of state policies, that governments must do all they can to continue projects started by the previous government. So it's a constitutional mandate on every leadership to ensure that projects that would go to the benefit of the good people of Ghana must be continued. Now, in our case, let us also not run into the blame game before hurt. I say so because if you take the fact that most of the projects, depending on the source of, funding of the project.
Whether it's GOG or externally funded.
Whether it's externally funded, whether has an effect on these things. One, I say, is because if you take the fact that, let's say, African Development Bank is sponsoring something for the good people of Ghana, be it hospital, be it a bank, be it a school or something.
Right.
They've put in place mechanisms to ensure that these monies cannot just go into pocket that they don't deserve.
Right.
Those mechanisms are working very well, so that you would realize if you get funding from such donor agencies, the project will work and go faster, unless something untoward really happens.
And that has been an experience in the past. Usually when it's externally funded. Look at the Pualugu Dam, close to $1 billion. We said we'll generate the funds here. Mr. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said it, and quite a bit of time down the line, we've still not been able to even roll out. The VRA has come in to talk about it. In the meantime, the Bagre Dam is spilled and people keep suffering every year.
So
that's a typical example. I'm not blaming your administration, but I'm saying it's a typical example.
Correct. So that moving forward, when it is a government of Ghana funded project, we all know how we are being told every day that 80% of internally generated, 80 to 95% of internally generated fund ends up in our salaries and amortization of one debt or the other. And for that matter, the government has no laxity to continue with such projects. Then we ask ourselves, beyond the issue of abandoned project, is also the deliberate attempt to make projects that hitherto would contribute to the socio-economic development of our country, retrogressive, just to score certain political points.
How so?
I make this reference because I watched the news over the past 2 weeks. I've seen a hospital in Nsoko, I think today is in the Bono region, in Nsoko, Tyne district, where the existing facility is so old, dilapidated to the extent that people who go there to seek, medical care, end up coming home with other germs and
contracting
other diseases.
Right.
We have a hospital that has been built by the former President John Mahama administration. The hospital has been commissioned by the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo administration. What is left is to ensure we have equipment, everything. Just send the personnel into this hospital so that they start to work, so that the good people of the community will benefit from the investment of the state, to which their taxes are included. We've denied them this. And it is not only there. It's an ongoing, I think it's on, is it Joy News that I've been following this? You go to the Western region as well.
Right.
There is a supposed hospital that was supposed to be built for the people of Western region, I think Shama to be specific. They put in place all the mechanisms. They told the people there was a commencement of the project where there was the pomp and pageantry as usual, with the president going to cut the sword for the commencement of the project. As I speak to you, the people of Shama are being told that 13 months after the commencement of the project, the soil is now undergoing tests.
Okay, so I'll make this point. The cutting of swords, whether it's the MPP or the NDC, seems to amount to not much. I'm being very blunt here. Whether it's MPP or NDC, cutting of swords historically has not meant too much. But going back to what you're saying, we can cite the UGMC example and what it took to get it operational. Even recently, the Bank Hospital, the Bank of Ghana Hospital in cantonments, and what it took. I did a report on that many years back. A lot of people complaining. At least now we're making some progress. But I put it to you, Naziru. Your government hasn't fared any better when it comes to abandoned projects. There's a plethora of them. You abandoned projects from the Kufuor era till now. The question is, why do we do this? When we do this, we are harming the ordinary Ghanaian citizen, taxpayer. Why do we keep doing this? Today you are crying foul. Tomorrow you may do it again.
I sit here to contest your position that the cutting of sword is as usual with all the political parties. The NDC has shown with finesse, sincerity and candor how they conduct themselves in government. You can name to me one sword-cutting ceremony that has ended in a fiasco, like we have seen many, as I am highlighting to you today. You can mention to me under John Mahama, under former President Mills, under former President Rawlings. One sword-cutting that has become a fiasco, like I'm talking to you about the Shama, hospital today.
There are roads that you started that never saw the light of day, different belts leading up north. I remember some of those. There are hospital facilities. I mean, we even have...
Yeah, that's why I say name one. I have been specific.
Never saw the light of day.
I will not take it. I have been specific to mention to you the Shama Hospital, for instance. It's a matter in discussion as we speak today. And I challenge you, the distinction between the NDC and the MPP is the sincerity with which the NDC conducts itself. The candor is key in getting the people to support you. And I also tell you, that so far as we are concerned, and I'm putting this, I stand to the challenge. Give me one single project that was started by Kufuor and was abandoned by the NDC. Give me one.
Oh, come on.
I know of this housing bit somewhere, I think, in the Ashanti region. Yeah. And it was abandoned. In fact, we did a report
on it. It was not abandoned.
This was just about last year.
I remember.
We did a report on it.
I remember very...
You didn't continue that.
I remember very well when we realized that the internally generated fund for which is supposed to finance all this project that we don't have the money for. There was negotiation with SNIT, especially the housing project.
And what happened?
SNIT has to take over, and they continue. Most of them, they finished.
Okay.
SNIT came in. That is the distinction between the NDC and the MPP.
Hold on.
And then,
as we, time is not exactly our friend this morning, so I would have us be very succinct, straight to the point. But even as we address this issue, I always like us to look at solutions rather than jaw on the problems. The problems exist. In less than a minute, let's say 40 seconds, what do you think is the way out of this quagmire of abandoned projects bleeding the country dry? What do you think? In 40 seconds, let's do this very briefly.
I think it comes in two folds for me. One of the key ones is that quality leadership and political will, which this government has demonstrated.
Quality leadership, political will.
Political will. And we've demonstrated that. I mean, as far back, he was just talking about whatever. Eurojet projects, the 4 Eurojet hospitals. What happened to them? Criminally abandoned. It's taking us to come and do that. Those are 4 projects. But apart from the leadership, which this president has demonstrated, the next thing that you need is financing. And that is why you need a government that is creative at generating funds, at raising funds. And that's why this government has committed seriously to widening the tax net beyond rhetoric. How have we done that? Through this national ID project, all right, now leading to tax ID, we can properly widen the tax net. That's what the president at the bar conference was saying, that lawyers who are secretaries to companies must not help companies to evade tax, but would rather use their professional conduct to help us to generate more funds internally so that we can finance all these projects. So for me, leadership, finance, those are the 2 things. And on these 2, you cannot trust the NDC.
All right. So on the bit about taxation, Mr. President mentioned that from about 700,000, we had increased our tax net to about 15 million. Hopefully that will tell on that. Very quickly, 40 seconds.
well, I want to believe that for me, collectively as a people, we must be concerned about what goes on.
So what are the solutions?
That is why I'm saying that the solution is to be involved as a people. We should be concerned. You can't come and tell me you are constructing an hospital in my jurisdiction as the chief.
In other words, we should be citizens, not spectators.
So that
is that what you're saying?
No, it should be more of the people-private government partnership.
Okay.
Do you understand? So for so long as it is a government project and the people are not involved, you will not see it to the completion. You will not see to it that people are committed to ensure that at the end of the day, the benefit will come to the good people of Ghana. I want to believe that the involvement of the locals in some of this decision making, citing even the location for some of this project, which will be conducive for all of them, we'll see them also participating. We have instances in this country.
But in all fairness, pardon my interjection, in all fairness, a lot of the time, you are not really asked where a project should be cited. Recently, when Nana Akufo-Addo went to the OT region, he commissioned a project in Adonkwanta, I think, and people were saying, why was it not in Dambai, this and that? But
I think it's a yam factory.
Yes, the yam and cassava processing factory. Usually, government would not, which is supposed to be the best thing, but it's not usually done. So is that really a solution? They are not going to.
It can be done. It can be done if we are committed to it. More so when we have representations in Parliament. Do you understand? Because they will take all these things up, support us, and if we are committed, government would see even areas where the locals will contribute to the progress of the program project if it is at the right place.
So simply put, you want more people involvement. Involvement.
So that there will be clarity. There will be clarity. You know, the clarity is that everybody knows that the money is coming today, it's ending this way, and we need X amount to ensure that Y is done. I mean, it's so clear. Then everybody will be involved.
Point well made. I see some bottlenecks though in terms of, you know, what's the word? Transparency and all of that, and even getting to know about some of these things. But I understand you. In jurisdictions like Norway and the rest, there is that transparency, and you can know what government is raking in and what they are doing with it. Very quickly.
I think that's also got to do with the democratic process. And from this conversation, you can tell that we have come far. For example, I buy the citizens' involvement, you know. However, for example, last week, I was in OT region.
Very brief.
Yes, Pasa. And Pasa East specifically. And they told us that as far as rural electrification is concerned, you know, there are communities without light, without mobile telephony.
Right.
And they're like, the last project.
Without water.
Yes, well, the last project was 2007. So we extended all the way to the Pasa Township. And Pasa East hasn't seen electrification extension from Mils, Mahama, up to today. So I'm saying that on this subject matter of abandoned project, you cannot trust the NDC. We know their character. Their track record is there. And whenever you come to real issues of development, they'll quickly then tell you
you
that,
don't just say,
oh, there's a constitutional requirement.
Reference.
But the point is that
so what
is written in the constitution must be given definition by quality leadership, which they don't have.
Okay.
And that's what separates Akufo-Addo from them.
Well made. We can go on with this banter, and I know both of you would be at different ends. But let's talk about something that maybe all of us can agree on. The prices of foodstuff is going up. It's skyrocketing. I mean, we've gone to market, we've had, we've investigated ourselves, but it's very interesting, isn't it? Because it's only recently that our agric minister, Dr. Akufo-Addo, was touting our being the breadbasket of the sub-region and producing so much, planting for food and jobs. And all of a sudden, we're caught pants down, so to speak, per his own wording. We've heard from the deputy agric ministers and all of that. What happened? How did we end up here? How is it even possible that a country that's supposed to have, such a lot of food is now all of a sudden struggling?
I think, if you remember, I think February this year, when the Minister of Finance went to Parliament to launch the Ghana Care Program, it was one of the things that we stated clearly. We, the watchers, have expected a certain trend. Remember, from about February, prices shot up, particularly in construction area and all of that, due to, again, the constraints that were pushed due to COVID. All right. And so once shipping, for example, is affected, once shipping cost rises, a lot of our products are imported. So you're going to get that. Now, what COVID did to us as a people was that for almost a year, our productive activity came to a halt, right? Because our
but even then, you did not suggest that. You touted that we were still in a very safe place when it comes to...
Because our farming is seasonal.
Food.
Okay, and the food that comes per season feeds a particular futuristic season, right? That cycle was interrupted.
Right.
And to the extent that that cycle has been interrupted, you would expect some hiccup, some challenges. What is important, though, is that this government and this ministry has been aware of that trend, all right? And that is how come beyond even the planting for food and jobs, you've seen an expansion of the project to include rearing for food and jobs. We've even seen the expansion of the support that we give to all these farmers and all of that. So for the short period, yes, you're going to see those price hikes and all of that, but definitely in the competent hands of this government, that should end soon.
The government has said that they are waiting for the harvest season.
Yes.
And of course, in the meantime, we're going to have measures, national security at the borders to prevent export of our products. The likes of Edward Karewe have come in to say that, no, if you do that, then the neighboring countries would also reciprocate. If you don't want to export to them, they would also not export to you. Burkina Faso giving us onions, tomatoes, and all of that. How do you feel about the situation? Were we lied to?
Well, you see, it's very, very unfortunate. The situation is such that it is coming at a time when the ordinary Ghanaian is hard-pressed already. And if the prices of foods and services is going up every day, you can imagine the impact on the ordinary Ghanaian. My point is very clear that consistently when the NDC was putting in place the mechanism to ensure that we don't get ourselves back into this situation as experienced way back in the 80s, what we did was to support farmers with at least the input. Some of them fertilizers they get for free and stuff like that. Under this government,
it hasn't changed under this administration.
It has changed. It has changed. But fertilizers are not for free.
What has changed?
The government only subsidizes the fertilizer they get today. They don't get it for free. They pay something to get it.
Right.
It has effect on the farmer. The farmer who hitherto was getting it free. So you certainly would expect that something would happen. And again, the issue we all had, and nobody is being told who has been penalized for the export of our fertilizers that are meant for the good people of Ghana. People are taking it across the countries, selling it to the neighboring countries at cheaper price. It's a matter of great concern. That is why farming cannot strive in our country. Who has shown us, who has been penalized? Because some people have been arrested. Where are they? They are party members of the NPP. A constituency chairman or so was involved.
Can you prove that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's here. A constituency chairman or so was involved. I mean,
Which constituency?
Well, I think it was in the today's Born-Harford region, the former Born-Harford region, but I can't tell whether it's Bono or Bono East or which, but it was within the Born-Harford region. He was arrested. Nobody has told us anything. The fact also remained that if we will continue...
just to say that the fact that we've not been told anything does not mean maybe the person has not been incarcerated or suffered some punishment.
Well, and also just not because we've not been told anything also means they want to shield the person. It could also mean that. I mean, so if you think right, you think, of course. If you think right, you think negative. That is your assumption. I also assume, knowing the way they perform, knowing the way they act, wanting to shield that particular party person is the reason we are not hearing anything. Now, moving forward, I suggest that, look, whenever and whenever we are talking agriculture, we need to be sincere to ourselves. At least, if for nothing, COVID has taught us that there will come a time with a single strike in this world.
Right.
Everybody will be self-dependent. You will have no opportunity to depend on any other person for anything because everybody is self-reliant. The need for us to be self-reliant, at least in the area of agriculture, where we have abundant resources to ensure that, is very, very important. And for that matter, we should not, exchange this reason. No, I mean, it's a must if we want to continue to survive as a nation.
And finally, in order not to misquote you, you're saying that fertilizers must go back to being free for farmers.
Yeah, it's an incentive. Yeah, right. It's an incentive.
Quick point again, in less than a minute. But I also want to put this into context. You know that per global research, even Bloomberg has put it out there that currently, not just on the back of COVID, we're seeing some of the priciest, food cost since the 1970s. That's another reality, but that doesn't explain away the foibles we have in our own system. So, what would you suggest? What would you suggest?
If you give me a second, I also would contest the excuses given to us that COVID has affected our farming input. If you go to the hinterland where the farming activities takes off, people don't even wear masks.
Right.
They don't wear. They walk around. They go about their daily duties. They go to the farm. We are not getting the yields.
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
Quickly.
For me, I think that, but for the 81 metric ton, 80 storage facilities that this government had built in those food baskets, probably this situation should have met us sooner. Or earlier than now, But for those storage facilities that was able to hold some of the produce that came earlier, we probably would have had this about 2 or 3 months ago. So this government is firmly in charge. I agree with...
So the buffer stocks saved us?
Yes.
So to speak.
I agree with him that the issue of fertilizer smuggling is one thing that needs serious attention. We cannot be using the taxpayers' money to, engage in such productive projects. For some criminals to be stealing it and then selling it elsewhere just to enrich themselves. And to that extent, we need to see more action. I'll call out to the Minister of Agri to ensure that it works together with the security to ensure that we do not lose money as a result of fertilizer smuggling. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. I agree. But the thing is that as far as my brother and I are concerned, as far as commitment to agriculture is concerned, whether it is cash crops, regular food stuff, or all of that, the data proves it. We are far superior to them.
But this is the data you are contesting.
Nobody can trust them.
You see, the MPT today has no right to use data coming from the statistical service. I have said this time without number because the vice president, then the vice presidential candidate of the MPP, contested and chastised the Ghana Statistical Service for the data they've churned out.
But if you forge,
in support for the John Mahama administration, I'm coming. You've not come out to apologize. That is why candor. That is what I'm talking about. Candor, sincerity.
Honesty.
You've not, honesty. You've not apologized to them.
Honesty, Mahama.
Thank you, gentlemen. So there's a dispute about whether COVID has, affected or impacted our agriculture. But let me tell you about something else that impacts public sentiment, feeling, and trust in security. On March 15, 2019, we had a certain Reverend Owusu-Bempah with a team launch an attack on XYZ, Radio XYZ. A year before that, it was at Hot FM where someone posed to him a challenge that if you perform miracles, then perform one here. A laptop and other equipment was vandalized in that station. Again, Owusu-Bempah. Now we see this incident with Agrada and what has happened. We cannot detach Owusu Bempah from the MPP because he has shown his linkage to the MPP. No one can dispute that. Though in some instances, he also speaks. Like recently, he said, do or die by Mahama does not mean this or that. But when people are able to flout the laws with such impunity, and so far, he's not had any consequences, apart from this current bit. In 2019, the CID invited him. What did it amount to? Why are we seeing that? What does that say about leadership in the country?
All right, thank you very much. I do not know whether he's a Cadbury member of our party. So to that extent, maybe he probably affiliates with us one way or the other, but he's not a member of the party to extend that. But I'm a Christian, and I would like to take this on as such, within that context. I'd like to take him on as a man of God, as a representative of Christ and the church, largely. And it is to that extent that I am disappointed. You know, the Bible tells us how to live as a people, as Christians. And no, Christianity is not just something you do on the side and then you live your life. It is supposed to be your reality, your culture, you know, so that there is that clear difference between you and the non-believer in that context. And it is to that extent that I'm disappointed in his conduct.
You're disappointed?
It does not reflect Christ.
Were you disappointed when he went to XYZ?
I've always been disappointed. And I disagree with the fact that he wasn't facing consequences for his conduct. You know, because, you see, you need to pose that example of good citizenship for your members and to give that as a testimony to the effect of the church, to the quality of people that the church is producing. And
maybe even it's affected the membership because you see how they also attacked journalists.
Absolutely. So to that extent, I think that the man of God has some reflection to do and to make sure that his conduct reflects what Christ teaches.
Apart from reflection, should he suffer consequences for his actions?
So our Lord, the current police administration, you understand? The previous police administration, I do not know what prevented them from making sure that he's held accountable for his conduct.
Right.
And our Lord, Dr. Dampare, for the bold leadership in ensuring that the rule of law prevails, that your anointing should not be an excuse to call the name of Christ to disrepute. I
like that. Your anointing should not be an excuse to pull the name of Christ into disrepute. Courage no be. All right, quick one. Very quick thoughts on
this. I have a personal philosophy not to talk publicly about religion, especially when it concerns the Christian religion.
This is the law.
No, I'm coming. If you allow me to make my point.
Go ahead.
The reason being that the tensions, the way he chastised Owusu on the basis of religion, if I do the same, people may say it with some biases and stuff. So I'm being careful.
Because you're not Christian?
Because I'm not Christian.
Right. I understand that point.
Now, I am also addressing Owusu Bempah as a politician. I mean, he's shown commitment and has been active in politics to the extent that he is even concerned about the transition process in the MPP from Nana Addo to the next person who will come. I mean, and he has said so publicly. And it is on that basis that I am addressing the Reverend Father today. Now, let us ask ourselves, if he's telling me today that the police need to be applauded for what they have done in curbing the canker that is growing, I want to ask, it doesn't start today. The IGP we have today, the same laws that existed when someone like Nanka Bruce was brutally abused in the premises and office of the president.
Right.
It's the same law today. What is he doing about it? That is a policeman, DSP. What is he doing about that? We've had several instances where there is a, in Kumasi, for instance.
So what? You expect the president to do something?
I'm not talking about. We are talking police.
Right.
He's in the grip of the police, and the police are telling us today that what they have done today means that there is a new IGP and something new is happening. That is what I don't want to understand.
But he's on remand for a week, and further measures will be taken.
And then let's ask ourselves. I was on a program yesterday with one of his aides, and what the aide said was so astonishing, to the effect that Owusu Bempah was transferred to the hospital yesterday. By within 2 hours, there were drips, there were pictures. He showed me pictures of drips and everything. Handcuffed. In 2 hours, someone in drips has been sent back to the police custody. Where he has been sent to, we don't know. And he was even told that the Owusu Bempah needs to run some tests, some laboratory tests, which they couldn't do. So the police have taken him back.
Doubt what the police is saying.
That is an abuse of human rights. That is abuse of his right. Why is this happening to Osu Bempah today? Everybody knows his role. Everybody knows what he has done. Osu Bempah is on record to have called the president and charged him for organizing to overthrow a government. This is a serious allegation. Nobody has done anything to him. This is what he has done. Why is it that today this is happening to him? That is the question that good people of Ghana need to ask. Is it true that Osu Bempah is deeply involved in the succession plan of Nana-Addo and it's not in line with the Bawumia camp? And people are suspecting him that today he is with the Alan Chama. And people even in the NDC, as a result of what you just mentioned, when John Mahama made the famous do or die statement, his reaction sought to suggest that he's breaking camp.
He felt all died be die was not bad. Same way he thinks do or die is
as a result of that, people even think he's today dining with the NDC. And that is why the punishment being meted out.
So you feel this is some political victimization?
It is more, and I'm not just feeling it. Osu Bempah, if he's not dead, will come out one day and you will hear it. You will call us here and let's talk about it. He will tell you the reason he's being victimized. It is purely MPP internal affair that he has taken side.
Thank you. Thank you. Quick reaction.
He has taken side. I take strong exceptions to these opinions. I do not know where they are coming from. We all saw.
How do you take an individual exception to what you don't know? You don't know where they are coming from.
An individual.
How do you take strong exception to it?
Act in contravention to the law. The law rightfully is dealing with him. And you come here to adduce reasons for mass. Come on.
You call this reason for mass?
And this is why, you see, this disconnect between the heart and mind of the NDC is a problem of this country.
All right.
This disconnect is a problem. We are making people accountable for their actions. When we don't do that,
those who beat
when it is not
members of your party,
at
they
the time,
are at the president office. Where are they?
Mohammed, hold on. Please. Hold your horses.
He's a policeman in uniform. They beat him in the office.
Mr. Mohammed,
where are they?
I am moderating this. Please.
Thank you.
Hold your horses.
And I was coming to that Nankabru's matter. What was the timeline? When did it happen? Was not during the transitional period after election.
Crime has no expiry date.
Right?
In law.
At the time, the IGP at post was a Mahama appointee.
Right.
How do you blame me or this government for the inaction of President Mahama and his appointee at the time?
Today, Nana-Addo's appointee has come.
How do you do that? And that's why I say that the quality of the leadership of the police now is what I'm lauding. We saw the immediate past acting IGP. He didn't take action on some of these things. But we are seeing a bold leadership that is making sure that our society is safe.
Okay, all right.
And we must laud that.
Thank you very much.
I cannot reasons from wherever as to why someone is facing the law.
I cannot let you gentlemen go without lightening it up right before we go. I just want your quick thoughts on this, and this shouldn't take more than 15 seconds. Sure. We've sacked CK Akono, right? I just want us. Football is the heartbeat of our country. We've sacked CK. There's so much talk. Do you feel we should do a local coach or a foreign coach? First of all, quickly, should we have sacked CK, local coach or foreign coach? Very quickly.
He didn't deserve to be the coach in the first place. I don't know what
he didn't deserve to be the coach in the first place.
Doing. Whether it was experimentation or what have you. And with the amount of money that he was being paid, I don't think that tactically we were getting anything worth it. What he did, I could have done. And to that extent, he didn't.
What he did, you could have done.
I could have done that.
All right.
I mean, I never saw a Ghana game where the coach made a tactical change and you saw a certain switch where we move from defense to attack or anything. To that extent, you can do that. He didn't deserve to be there. I, as an avowed Pan-Africanist, I believe strongly that we need a local coach.
Thank you.
And we should scout around for better replacement.
Quick one, Nazir.
Well, I'll use this medium and
maybe Nazir can help the Black Stars so we can
to appeal to this medium to follow up on the issue of Osu Bempah once again. If indeed
we're talking Black Stars.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. It's very important. It is
Nazir will politicize everything.
We all saw it. If indeed he's sick, let us give him the medical attention. He deserves it, even if he's in captivity.
Thank you.
Let's give it to him. It's very important.
But there's the police that told you that he's in hospital.
Hold on, Courage.
Now, I think you've not denied that he was in hospital, have you?
No,
you are the host. Yeah, so stop dragging us back.
CK Akono, how do you feel about his sacking? And
very, very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
Very, very unfortunate. Right. You see, I am saying so because I've seen the commitment, the enthusiasm with which CK Akono wants to do the job. And I've listened to commentaries from people who have entered what is going on within the GFA. And some of the things they've said clearly suggest that CK Akono could not perform because of certain strings that were put around him. As a result of that, we are seeing this as the outcome. But I would insist that no matter, and I think the president himself has issued a directive to the management of Black Star that he, some time ago, I'm not saying currently, some time ago, he issued that he insists coaches must be local as much
what
as
What do you think?
Yeah, a local coach. I mean, we have many of them. We can go back to the position.
They are all there.
They are there, many of them, and they can do it. I believe strongly they can do it. Let's try them.
Tactically gifted ones.
Thank you very much. Courage Nobi is with the NPP's National Communications team. He joined us. Courage, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure having you. There's also Naziru Mohammed, Al-Haj, thank you for the correction, I nearly slipped. Al-Haj Naziru Mohammed, who is with the NDC's Zango caucus. He joined the conversation as well. Refreshing having you here for the first time, at least as far as I'm concerned.
It's my pleasure.
Right. Okay, so this is how we wrap beyond the headlines, but you know there's a lot more coming up right here on Prime Morning. Do stay.